Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. The Eastern Pavilion in the Evil Sky Pavilion. Zhou opened his eyes as he emerged from his meditative state. He had replenished half of his extraordinary power. He remembered the first Earth Scroll power he gained. Feeling curious, he recited the chant in his head. To gain the power to hear everything so that we can hear voices in all realms at will. Faint blue extraordinary power appeared by his ears, and he could hear the roars of the waterfall at the back of the mountain. Then, he used more extraordinary power before he heard Duanmu Shang practicing with his spear. He added more extraordinary power again, and he could hear the mixed chirps and growls from various beasts and the sound of the wind blowing. When he felt his extraordinary power swiftly depleting, he stopped. With this, he confirmed the range of this power was dependent on how much extraordinary power he used. The wider the range, the more extraordinary power was needed. Zhou shook his head. He felt that this power was slightly useless. What practical use did it have apart from being able to eavesdrop? At this moment, Mingshi Yin's voice rang from outside. Master, 7th junior brother send a letter saying that eldest senior brother is preparing to siege the divine capital 2 days from now. Also, the Penglai sect, the 10,000 poison sect, the Blossom faction, and the Fiend temple are heading toward Liang province to repel the other tribes. Bai Yuqing, Yang Yan, and Diqing are grievously wounded and have been sent back to Yan province. Oh, 2nd senior brother is going to Liang province as well. Creak. Zhou opened the door. He placed his hands on his back and looked at Mingshi Yin who was standing at the bottom of the stairs. He said, the other tribes couldn't hold themselves back anymore, it seems. Many other tribesmen in Rongxi and Rongbei believe in wild beasts. That's why they've grown more barbaric after severing their lotuses. They no longer fear death. Their cultivation speed has increased after they severed their lotuses as well. The other tribesmen will surely seize this opportunity while eldest senior brother is occupied with attacking the divine capital, Mingshi Yin said. Zhou stroked his beard and nodded. I've been to the lands of the other tribes before. Indeed, they worship many beasts. However, I didn't expect that severing their lotuses would benefit them so much. They're dumb, if you ask me. If severing their lotuses is beneficial to them, they should just focus on cultivation to overtake Great Yan as a whole before they invade Great Yan. Wouldn't that be a better course of action? Mingshi Yin said disapprovingly. Smack. Mingshi Yin slapped himself before he said, they're not dumb. They can see this is a great opportunity for them so they seized it. How despicable. Master, what should we do now? Zhou was lost in thought. He stroked his beard as he descended the steps. A moment later, he looked at Mingshi Yin and said, Old Fourth. Yes, master. Go to Liang province. Huh? You don't want to? Zhou frowned slightly. Mingshi Yin hastily waved his hands and said, it's not that I'm unwilling, I'm just surprised. Eldest senior brother told us to stay out of his business. I'm just worried that he'll get mad if I go over there. That's Liang province, not the divine capital, Zhou said with a sigh, among all of you, you're the one I'm least worried about. Your 2nd senior brother has always been proud and conceited. He's obstinate and loves to show off. Something stirred in Mingshi Yin. He looked up and appraised the old man. The frivolous smile disappeared from his face. At this moment, he finally discovered the solemn expression on Zhou's face. Zhou's words and actions all revolved around his disciples. In the beginning, he thought this was some new trick of his master. However, it seemed like his master had truly changed. Loyalty, plus 1%. Zhou saw the change in Mingshi Yin's loyalty. He stopped in his tracks and asked, are you willing to go? Mingshi Yin fell to one knee. He cupped his fists and said, I'm willing. Good. Zhou looked up and called out, Ji Liang. Halfway up Golden Court Mountain, Ji Liang looked up and neighed joyously. It leaped into the air and flew toward the Evil Sky Pavilion's eastern pavilion. It slowly landed in the courtyard. Ji Liang is a wonderful steed. Ride it there. Nay. Ji Liang seemed to understand Lu Zhou's words. Ming Shirin looked at Ji Liang excitedly. When he imagined how grand it must be to appear before the others on a legendary mount, he was beside himself with anticipation. Alas, Ji Liang trotted up to Ming Shirin and lowered its head to take a whiff. Then, it shook its head and neighed. Hey, are you rejecting me? Ming Shirin was speechless. Lu Zhou did not expect Ji Liang to be so picky. Bayan. Bayan came on the clouds and landed in the courtyard. Compared to Ji Liang, Bayan looked more ferocious. However, it was more obedient and not as picky about its riders. Ming Shirin smiled and said, Bayan will do as well. Although it's ugly, it'll be able to scare others off. As soon as Ming Shirin finished speaking, Bayan became clearly reluctant to carry him. After being insulted and praised in the same sentence, it retreated 3 steps before it lay on the ground. Ming Shirin was speechless. He looked at his master pleadingly. Lu Zhou shook his head. He wanted to summon Witzard, but when he thought about his own old bones, he decided to leave a mount for himself that could provide him with a smooth ride. After mulling over it for a moment, he called out, Ji Liang. Nay. After it shook its head, it reluctantly took a few steps forward. Ming Shirin nodded. That's more like it. Ji Liang listened to Lu Zhou's orders. Go. Ming Shirin leaped onto Ji Liang's back. With a solemn tone, he said, Don't worry, master. With me around, nothing will happen to second senior brother. I swear it, on your horse. Nay. Ji Liang lifted its front hooves and flew into the sky as soon as Ming Shirin finished speaking. In just a second, it vanished into thin air. Perhaps, the disturbance Ji Liang caused was too big. The other disciples gathered outside the eastern pavilion as well. Soon enough, Zhao Yu, Zhu Honggong, Little Yuan, Conk, and Duanmu Sheng entered. Master, I'm willing to go to Liang province as well. Lu Zhou glanced at them before he said, If you want to help, work hard on your cultivation. His disciples were rendered speechless. Old Third. Yes, master. You're in charge of overseeing their progress. Everyone will be cultivating for twice the amount of time they're cultivating now. Yes, master. In the Evergreen Palace in the Divine Capital, the Imperial City. Lu Gu opened his eyes. Men. An internal attendant walked in timidly. Before he could kneel, Lu Gu said, Why hasn't the Big Dipper Academy sent 10 leaf-sprouting pills today? Your Majesty. The Big Dipper Academy's President Zhou said that they ran out of ingredients and are in the process of gathering them. They think it's unlikely for them to produce new leaf-sprouting pills this month, the internal attendant said fearfully. Lu Gu's brows knitted together. I treated him well. Is he harboring some ulterior motive? The ingredients were supplied by the palace. He was no fool. He knew how many ingredients were needed to refine a certain number of leaf-sprouting pills. He said, Bring me the Big Dipper Academy's 10 elders. Understood. Also, what's the situation with the Nether Sect? Lu Gu asked. The internal attendant shivered as he said, Your Majesty, the Nether Sect has gained control over the 9 provinces. I'm afraid the Nether Sect will attack the Divine Capital with all their might soon. Upon hearing this, Lu Gu rose to his feet and placed his hands on his back as he looked out the window. It seems like I've underestimated you. Just as well. It's time to settle old scores. A tense atmosphere loomed the Imperial City. The 9 provinces had fallen under the Nether Sect's control. Many eunuchs and palace girls in the palace had fled. The internal attendant did not know where the emperor's confidence came from. However, when he recalled the 2 academies had been supplying the palace with leaf-sprouting pills for the past 6 months, a thought appeared in his mind. Could it be that His Majesty has a game plan? The internal attendant dared not dally and left the room respectfully at once. He exited the imperial city and made his way to the Big Dipper Academy. Then, he went to the Sky Conduct Academy to pass on Lu Gu's decree. The academies were located near the imperial city, after all. How could they ignore a summon from the emperor? In the afternoon, 20 elders from the Big Dipper Academy and the Sky Conduct Academy, escorted by guards, entered the imperial city. Then, a few eunuchs led them past several places to the Evergreen Palace. One of the eunuchs said, "Everyone here is a core member of their respective academies. I'm sure His Majesty has something important to discuss with all of you. I humbly implore that you refrain from going against His Majesty's wishes, dear elders. These are exceptional times and circumstances. That's all I can say." "Thank you for the reminder, Eunuch Chan." The 20 elders followed the eunuch into the Evergreen Palace. 10 elders of the Big Dipper Academy entered from the left, while 10 elders from the Sky Conduct Academy entered from the right. As soon as they entered the palace, they saw Lu Gu, the emperor, seated on the throne as though he had been waiting for them. The 20 elders kneeled in unison. "All hail your majesty." Perhaps, Lu Gu had been cultivating in seclusion for a long time, he was no longer as strict about etiquette. He rose to his feet and descended the stairs. "Rise." "Thank you, your majesty." The 20 men rose their feet. Lu Gu walked to the other end of the 2 rows of elders before he turned around and walked to the other end. He stared at them intently before he nodded and lightly asked, "Do you know why I summoned you here?" The 20 elders shook their heads. Lu Gu said in a clear voice, "Under the vast heavens, there isn't a single cultivator who isn't fearful of the divine capital. This is because the entire divine capital is under the protection of the 10 terminal formation. The rebellious armies of the Fiend Path are wreaking havoc across the lands. You shoulder the responsibility of activating and keeping the 10 terminal formation up and running. Without all of you, the 10 terminal formation is meaningless. I want to guarantee your safety. Your Majesty. This matter should be discussed in the Imperial Court. There are many elites in the divine capital that's defended by the Imperial Guards. Under normal circumstances, there's no need for the 10 terminal formation to be activated," the first elder on the left said. Lu Gu's eyes fell on the elder immediately. "You think there's no need to activate the formation?" "I merely believe in the Imperial Guard's abilities." "If the Imperial Guards are useful, why is it that only 2 of the 8 great generals are alive?" Lu Gu asked. Lu Gu spread his arms and said, "I've summoned you here, not to ask for your advice." Swoosh. The magistrate brush on the table shone with a red light and flew out, slashing the first elder's neck. He did not stand a chance to fight back at all. As the dead elder fell, the expressions of the other elders changed drastically. They shuddered inwardly as they looked at their fallen comrade. "Anyone else has any questions?" Lu Gu's gaze shifted back and forth between the remaining 19 elders. The Evergreen Palace was as silent as a graveyard. The atmosphere was so heavy that it was difficult to breathe. "You're my officials, but you're inclined toward the rebels?" Lu Gu said coldly. This accusation was so severe that the others were frightened until they fell to their knees. "We dare not." Lu Gu looked at the kneeling elders and took several steps forward. He said, "Just because there's a 9-leaf cultivator in the Evil Sky Pavilion?" The others shivered. They dared not say anything. Lu Gu flipped his palm. There was a resonance of some unique power. A miniature avatar appeared before him. 8 shining golden leaves could be seen spinning under the avatar. The 19 elders' eyes widened in shock and an expression of incredulity appeared on their faces when they saw Lu Gu's avatar. The numbers of leaves were clear despite the glaring light. The emperor, the master of the imperial city and the person with the highest authority in Great Yen, had successfully recultivated to the 8-leaf stage after severing his lotus. What an amazing speed! Lu Gu pulled his palm back. His avatar vanished as well. He was pleased with the intimidating effect he had. He looked at the shaking elders who were too afraid to speak and said in a gruff voice, "Soon. I'll be at the 9-leaf stage as well." The elders said in unison, "All hail your majesty. Long live the emperor. All hail your majesty. Long live the emperor. All hail your majesty. Long live the emperor." They chanted thrice. Lu Gu chuckled, sounding slightly terrifying to the ears. It seemed like his prolonged cultivation and seclusion had caused some changes in his personality as well. Men. Swoosh. 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 The imperial guards gathered outside the Evergreen Palace. Lu Gu ordered, "Take these elders away. Make sure they're safe. They're not allowed to leave." Understood. 3 days later. The sun rose in the east. A thick mist hung over the river. When the sunlight pierced the mist, the human settlement seemed to be covered by gauze. Outside the settlement, huge trees covered in snow extended for miles. On a certain beaten path in the forest, rows of chariots traveled toward the divine capital. Above the forest, a huge black flying chariot could be seen flying slowly. The deck of the flying chariot was full of cultivators. There were 1,000 cultivators flanking the flying chariot as it advanced. On the flying chariot, Zhenghai was seated in front as he surveyed the land below. As the sun higher, the mist receded. Soon enough, the divine capital appeared before Zhenghai's eyes. At this moment, Hua Chongyang reported the Nether Sect situation to Zhenghai. "Sect Master, there are 200,000 men at the western side of the divine capital. They're led by the branch masters Ning Jinshui, Qian Hu, Meng Jueshan, and Gong Feng. On the southern side, there are also 200,000 men led by the branch masters Ran Zhe, Lu Yun, Tian Quan, and Feng Wenjie. On the northern side, 15,000 men are led by the branch masters Shi Haicheng, Tang Jijuan, Tao Rua, and Ke Qinghao. On the eastern side, there are 15,000 men led by Yu and Mr. Seventh." After listening to the report, Zhenghai nodded. "Very well. Sect Master, we're about to attack the divine capital. What should we do with the neutral cultivators?" Hua Chongyang asked. There were many elite cultivators in the divine capital. There were crouching tigers and hidden dragons here. Talented cultivators from all over the land were gathered here. Nobody could say for sure how these neutral cultivators would choose. Who knew if they would stab the Nether Sect in the back without warning, maintain their neutral position, or fight the divine capital with the Nether Sect? Zhenghai said, "Tell them that they are to run for their lives. They have 2 hours. Anyone who remains in the divine capital will be treated as an enemy. Everyone in the imperial city will also be treated as our enemies." "Yes, Sect Master." Whiz. 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 The Nether Sect members advanced majestically. The divine capital. On the city walls. The soldiers defending the divine capital saw the horde of Nether Sect members marching toward them, so they immediately sounded the horns. As the alarms blared, clouds of smoke that indicated the presence of hostile forces rose from the city walls as well. The cultivators inside the tea shops, taverns, and brothels in the divine capital stopped what they were doing when they heard the sound of the horns that were laced with primal chi in the distance. The sound of the horns rolled forth in sound waves, alerting everyone in the divine capital of the Nether Sect's impending arrival. Chaos descended on the divine capital immediately. Many elite cultivators disregarded the no-flying rule in the divine capital and flew on their swords to leave the city. The Nether Sect's flying chariot hovered outside the divine capital's gates. It remained 1,000 meters in the air. Everything was quiet at this moment. The area 10 miles around the divine capital was shrouded in a rich killing intent. The Nether Sect's flag flapped in the air. 2 hours later. 1,000 meters away from the eastern gate of the divine capital, a 7-leaf avatar appeared from the Nether Sect's flying chariot. The avatar that had a 7-leaf golden lotus under its feet was 90 feet tall. Boom. Several palm seals struck the city wall. This signaled the start of the Battle of the Divine Capital.